So the Noosa Tri 13 is ASICS' latest shoe to adapt the guide sole technology. So does this makeover make the Noosa Tri 13 one of ASICS' most underrated shoes, or is it just still kind of a niche shoe? Well, after 100 miles, I'm ready to give you my full review of the ASICS Noosa Tri 13. So throughout this review, I'll be using the Stoplight rating system. With that, I'll be rating it a green, yellow, or red light. A green means that there are more pros than there are cons. A yellow means that there are about equal pluses and minuses, and a red means that there are more negatives than there are positives. In the end, we'll go through all the results and I'll give it a go, a slow, or a no. So this shoe was provided to me by ASICS for the purpose of review, but that does not influence my opinion of the shoe. Alright, with all that stuff out of the way, let's finally get into this review. So let's get started with the upper. So in most ASICS, I'm normally a size 12, so that's what I got in this shoe, and although I had no heel slip, I did develop a little dimple around the big toe where it kind of seems like there's some excess material folding over. Although the shoe doesn't feel big, I think I may have been alright going down half a size and maybe wouldn't have had that issue. My midfoot always felt secure in the Noosa Tri 13, and even going around tight corners, I never felt like I was sliding around. The engineered mesh upper was super comfortable and had a good amount of flexibility. There was a good amount of padding around the ankle collar and on the tongue, and it didn't overdo it, had just the right amount. The cutouts in the mesh allow a good amount of airflow through the shoes, and even on hot long runs my feet weren't suffocated. Alright, now let's talk about this midsole. Although the Noosa Tri 13 gets more cushioning than the older versions, it still isn't super thick for today's standards, or when it's compared to something like the GlideRide 2. Its stack height comes in at 34mm in the heel, 29 in the forefoot, and that brings us to a 5mm heel-to-toe drop. So this shoe uses regular flight foam throughout the whole midsole, and this allows for a nice responsive ride that isn't too firm, and especially once it's broken in, it gives you a little extra forgiveness. The rocker from that guide sole technology really gives this shoe a super smooth heel-to-toe transition, and I found it to actually help me activate my glutes and run with better form. So compared to lighter and more airy foams, this version of flight foam seems to be holding up well, and I can see it staying responsive even up into the 400 miles. Alright, now let's talk about this outsole. Although there isn't as much rubber on the Noosa Tri 13, compared to most other ASICS shoes, the rubber that is there is very durable. I haven't seen too much wear even after my 100 miles. So like I mentioned, there isn't a ton of rubber on the outsole, and it also isn't the grippiest of outsoles. And while it works well on pavement and gravel roads, it definitely won't help you out much during your runs on more technical terrain. So with keeping most of the elements on this shoe pretty minimal, this luckily helps keep the weight down. The shoe comes in at 8 ounces in a men's size 9, which is on par with a lot of long distance racers / up-tempo trainers. Alright, now let's get into the run type stoplight portion of the review, where I'll go over speed day, everyday, long run day, and recovery day. Starting with speed day, the Noosa Tri 13 gets a green light. So I believe that the older versions of the Noosa Tri were more of actual racing flats, and I think this guy kind of falls under more of an up-tempo trainer. But with that being the case, this shoe can definitely handle speed days. With that rockered and responsive midsole, the minimal padding in the upper to keep the weight down, this shoe can really get your turnover going. So I actually really enjoyed this shoe on speed days, and while it doesn't have that kind of extra pop and bounce that a lot of the super shoes have nowadays, it definitely has a more traditional feel, but I still really enjoyed it. For everyday runs, the Noosa Tri 13 gets a green light. So I think with the Noosa Tri 13, it has just the right amount of cushion in the upper, just the right amount of cushion in the midsole, and just the right amount of outsole to be a good everyday trainer. So I actually really enjoyed this shoe just on my normal everyday runs where I wasn't pushing the pace, and I think a lot of people will really enjoy having this shoe as both an everyday trainer, but also for those days where they want to pick up the speed. For a long run day, the Noosa Tri 13 gets a yellow light. So I feel like this can be a common trend with up-tempo trainers, but I found that the Noosa Tri 13 doesn't have enough cushion or soft enough cushion to be my preferred long run shoe. So after doing 13 miles in this shoe, my legs didn't feel as fresh as they would have if there was a softer, more forgiving foam underneath my feet. So that's kind of why I gave this a yellow light. However, I do think that this is a really good option if you're doing a long workout, a long progressive run, that type of thing. This shoe could really excel there. Finally, for recovery day, the Noosa Tri 13 gets another yellow light. So just like what I talked about with long run day, for recovery days, I really want a plush and marshmallowy shoe, and this shoe's just a little too responsive for that. Plus, that rocker technology in the shoe doesn't help when you're really trying to take it easy, as it does kind of throw you on your toes. The Noosa Tri 13 gets a modern makeover in a world of high cushion stack heights and rockered midsoles. So I thought that this super comfortable upper is great for everyday runs, and this responsive midsole is fantastic for up-tempo runs. I think this is a great shoe to add in your rotation. However, I think you could definitely use another shoe for speed days and recovery days and keep this guy for more of your everyday training and speed efforts. So the price of the Noosa Tri 13 is $130. And I actually think that that's a pretty reasonable price for this type of shoe. However, it gets a yellow because of the EvoRide 2. The EvoRide 2 has the exact same midsole and outsole as the Noosa Tri 13. So essentially you're getting that same ride, it just has a different upper, and that costs $10 less. So although you're saving $10 with the EvoRide 2, you are gaining about half an ounce. But still, I think that this should be the same price as the EvoRide 2. I mean, I can see why it's not, but still, it saves you a little weight and you get a more comfortable upper in my opinion, but you pay that extra $10. So taking a look at the results here, there is a lot of green with only a few yellow ratings. Because of this, I give the Noosa Tri 13 a go. As in, if you want a great up-tempo trainer, then this is a fantastic option. The only thing stopping you might be trying the EvoRide 2. So thanks for watching this video. Let me know if you tried the Noosa Tri 13 in the comments down below, or if you tried the EvoRide 2 and what you think of them. Subscribe so you don't miss more reviews from ASICS and other running shoe brands, and as always, keep on running.